Welcome back, 6th grade, for another really exciting installment of math videos. I know that you guys is the favorite part of your day, something that you look forward to, so I will not disappoint, I promise. This one is on least common multiple, and once again, when we really focus on this word, common is the part that I think is most important. I talked about some of the common characteristics between myself and basketball star LeBron James. I think you might remember our amazing basketball talent was on the list, our incredibly successful foundations and all the money that we've made, and of course the fact that we're both going very, very bald at young ages. Those are all things that we share, things that we have in common. So remember that when we work on these problems. Before we get to the common multiple part, I really want to emphasize what multiples mean. The key word of multiple is to multiply, and that's on purpose, because if you do 8 times 1, the answer is 8. 8 times 2, the answer is 16. 8 times 3, the answer is 24. And this pattern can go on forever. And what these are, those are the multiples of 8. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. And because they go on forever, I'm never going to ask you to list all of the multiples. That would be impossible. Instead, I'll say list 10 multiples or find the least common multiple between things, but I will not expect you to do all of them. And so when we're focusing on this, I want to really notice the difference. Students will frequently mix up least common multiple and greatest common factor because they sound very similar. But what I really want you to point out is the first letter and the last letter of each. Greatest common factor. Factors are things that divide into a number. We want the largest shared factor. So you have to be looking for numbers that are smaller than your starting number, and you are looking for factors of them. Whereas least common multiple, you have to be using multiples. You have to be multiplying. You're looking for bigger numbers, and you want the least of them. If you were looking for the greatest common multiple of two numbers, that would be impossible because these multiples can go on forever. So remember, when you are looking at them, really focus on the last letter and then the first one, okay? So if we're looking for the least common multiple of two numbers, my trick, once again, is to always start with the largest number, and then I just write them in a list. I go 9, then 18, then 27, then 36, then 45, and then 54. And students ask me, like, well, when do you know to stop? And the answer is you really don't. But what this tells you when you're making this list is that you can have some targets for your second number. So if I'm going through this, I just have to focus on certain numbers instead of all of them. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. I don't have to write this out as many numbers. Once I find the first, then I have already found the common multiple. So I notice here I actually found 2. I found 54 and I found 18. But remember, it's the least common multiple. It's the smallest common multiple of these two numbers. So the answer for this first one is 18. For the second numbers down here, we have 15 and 10. Once again, start with the largest number. The biggest mistake that students make here is that they want to multiply these two numbers together. They want to do 10 times 15. That will find you a common multiple, but it will not find you the least common multiple. And once again, in this problem, I found 2, but the answer of the smallest common multiple will be 30. Remember, to find these, you have to create a list of some kind. Your list doesn't have a minimum or a maximum, but you most likely will have to make a list for each problem. I want you to try these two on your own, and then I will work through them as well. So for the top one, I went 12, 24, 36, 48, and then 60. And now that I've done a few of these, once I find a common multiple, I'm going to stop right away. And boom, I found one on the third one. So the answer here is 24. For the bottom one, this one's a lot tougher. Okay, and so it takes a bit more time. But I'll tell you, this bottom one is about as tough as it's going to get. 56, 70, 84, 96, 108, 120. And now since I know what the answer is, I'm going to stop here. It's very easy to make an arithmetic mistake on these problems, so make sure you really take your time. And as a trade, I will not... Oh, I made a mistake here on the top. There's my good example of making what a mistake looks like on one of these problems. There we go. 96. Nope, that's what I did last time. 98. There we go. So now 112. There we go. 126 and 140. Now I did find it here. 84 ends up being the common multiple. Let me check again. That looks right. And on the bottom here, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14 times 6 is equal to 84. That sounds right. And then 12 times 7 is also equal to 84. So that is our number. That one was a little bit tougher. Now, as a reminder, if I make a mistake in any of these videos, you should bring them to me to earn candy. This one won't count because I caught my own mistake. That almost will never happen. So your assignment for this section will be to find the least common multiple of these three numbers. Make sure you bring the work and the answer to me, and then you can get a grade.